Okay, today I have a photo shoot and I'm going to be taking you through a bit of my process from start to end. Okay, so most of the time where I start is kind of finding inspiration, finding an idea. Sometimes they do genuinely just pop into my head. This time it was a little bit of a combination between some interesting flapper makeup looks that I found on Pinterest, and also I got a thing of chainmail, which was definitely just an impulse buy, but I'm going to make sure that I actually use it now. So next I go on my computer and I find looks that match the vibe that I'm going for, so I can send them to my model. That way we are aligned on the vision, and it helps me kind of flesh out the framing and the look that I want. Now I'm looking for lighting inspiration. This shot specifically, I have in my head kind of how I want the lighting. Pretty dark, pretty dramatic looking, but I still need to have something as a reference so that it can help me while I'm setting up the lights. So I'm gonna find a reference point of the exact type of lighting that I want. It doesn't have to be the same as far as the content of the portrait, but just needs to match the lighting. In this case, I am really going for a Renaissance style aesthetic, and that kind of means one source of light, very directional, lots of drop off into nothing. That might require some Photoshop to drop the background into pure black, but I think it's gonna be cool. After that, I'm looking for posing references and really just trying to block the photo within a frame. So most of the time the way I do that is through really bad drawings. Here, let me show you. This is from my last photo shoot. We've got this one and this one. I'll show those on screen, but really it's just terrible drawings. As long as the shapes for the framing are correct, that's all I need for reference. So now I'm gonna try to block out the look that I'm going for this photo. So based on a lot of Renaissance portraits, I found some framings that I like. Again, it is very poor drawing, but I just need the general blocking for a reference, and that's all I'll need for the photo shoot. So I'm a little bit limited because of the space that I'm working in. Here is what I have. It's my living room currently, and we've got big windows that are very hard to block out. However, it's hard to find a spot to place a light. So normally the light is gonna have to be on this side, away from the windows. We're gonna close all the windows, we're gonna see how dark we can get it, but essentially what I'm thinking is we might need to bring in some black fabric or just a black piece of cardstock to cause some negative fill on at least one of the sides. Also, obviously, it would be easier if we had black backdrop, but I don't have a black backdrop, so we're gonna use blue, dark blue, thankfully, which is definitely nice. It's like the closest thing.
Okay, now I'm gonna make some starburst filters because I would like that effect in this photo shoot, and I really don't want to spend a lot of money. I don't remember how much they are, but they're a lot. When I can just buy some clear filters from Tiffin, some cheap clear filters from Tiffin. I'm gonna make a grid on paper, and then I have a glass cutter. Thankfully, they're not that expensive. They're small little tungsten cutting tools, and I'm just gonna cut a grid pattern in this. And supposedly, according to somebody on YouTube, it'll work. Okay, so I have my grid about the same size as my filter, and now I'm gonna make the cross lines. Okay, we are about set. So now, I just need to make sure this stays in place, so I'm gonna get some tape. Okay, so I've taped it down. Now I need to find my glass cutting tool. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. Here's my tool. It's got a roller. The video I saw on how to do it didn't have a roller, it just had a blade. But I think it should be about the same. Essentially, you just gotta be really careful to go perfectly straight, and you gotta make sure you don't stop. I'm gonna start with the edges so I can practice, figure out the best way to hold this thing. You also can't go too hard, because I've heard that it could easily just go right through, because these filters are cheap. I also heard you don't want to go over it multiple times, which I just did. So
I can see that it only scored it in like one spot. So we're gonna keep trying. Oof, that last one was not great. Let's see. The thing that sucks with this is you can't really go over it again. You most likely will break it. Just bust the glass. And then you also have to be really careful. Okay. So this is, I hope you can see it. I did a terrible job, but maybe, just maybe, it will be good enough, and we'll find out. Okay, so we've gone over a few different setups, and we've landed on this. I think this is the one that's actually gonna work. We've got our lovely model, Sarah. Say hi.
Hello.
Okay, I actually switched the big light to be a Nanlite 500. Then we've got my Godox 8200 flash right behind the tip of the sword. That's gonna give us some direct light to reflect off of the filter that I just made. And then that's gonna give us a starburst right at the end of the sword, and that's gonna not get too much over her face. Also, this beautiful makeup look and outfit is by Sarah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I picked her specifically because she knows how to do this type of stuff. Got it set up. I want to just show you guys real quick what it looks like when I'm taking this photo. Got Sarah meticulously placed, and we've got the light behind her meticulously placed. And also, this starburst filter that I made, it changes the angle of the star depending on how it's screwed on, and I want it to line up with the sword perfectly. So I have to kind of like tweak it every time I shoot, and then I have to make sure my hands are straight with the camera. But this is such an epic pose.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool!
Isn't it sick that it's just like
Yeah,
right along?
yeah.
Dude.
Oh my, I've never looked cooler. That's
Yeah.
so cool!
Checked off. Got that one. Okay, we just wrapped. Sorry, the house is a mess. But we got some great shots. I am very excited. I've been wanting to shoot like medieval style looks for a very long time now, and Sarah freaking killed it. I'm so glad I thought of her. She brought that dress and that corset, both pieces that she owns, and then that chainmail I had, and then an amazing job on the makeup that she did. We were kind of doing like a mix between a flapper, like face makeup, and like exaggerated like crying look. It was a lot of things combined in one, but I think it looks sick. Now I'm gonna take you into editing, and we're gonna go over one of the photos and how I edit it. Okay, so looking at the photo in our editing software, this is just a raw image, no color grading, no nothing. And again, because we had that lighting dialed in, there wasn't that much that we had to do. Especially in this shot, some of the shots we had to take out the background, some of the shots we had to darken the background, but since we were using the Forza 500, we were able to expose her bright enough where the background just kind of fell out. If you look, I can turn up the exposure, you can see the blue background. It didn't even go all the way to the ground. Very sloppy job, Jericho, but again, when it's actually exposed properly, you don't see it. So let me just paste my edits and I can show you what we did. Over here, slight exposure adjustment, slight contrast adjustment. We're pulling back those highlights just a little bit. We're pulling down those shadows, and we're adding this S-curve with a faded highlight over here and a faded shadow over here. Now, if you'll notice, this S-curve is actually really like the secret sauce for making it look kind of like a painting. Because media that doesn't show through a screen or have any backlighting, it's not gonna have those perfect whites and it's not gonna have those perfect blacks. So if you pull both those off, it kind of gives it the paper-like or painting-like feel a little bit more. I cooled down the temperature a little bit because my continuous light was warmer, so that my flash, which I can't adjust that temperature, I wanted it to come off as cool tone with the starbursts. So I had to cool down the overall image a little bit, which created that effect for me. It also made the chainmail stand out a little bit more as like slightly bluer, which I thought was nice. So after that, I went into Photoshop, and I also went into a retouching software that I'm currently testing, so I'm not necessarily, like, I don't want to shout them out yet because I don't know if I really like it yet. But this is our final image, and you can see I did some adjustment on the makeup just to smooth out some of the spots like in the eyebrows that maybe had been hit while we were putting the chainmail on and stuff like that. Then I did basic retouching on the face and a little bit of relighting actually. So I wanted to brighten up the face and have it really be the subject. So I kind of pulled that up and then faded it with that curve so that it looked brighter. And then again, we can't have those perfect whites in the shot because we want that painterly look. So it was kind of a balance of like bringing stuff up, curving it down, fading it a little bit like that. But the pose, the goblet, the whole thing, I think in this image really shows how it comes together, and how that lighting just drops off on the side and the background just fades out completely to black. This, I think, personally has grown to be my favorite image. And I'm very, very excited about it. Again, I want to shout out to Sarah. Super, super fun time. She understood the assignment immediately, and we were able to just get this. One more thing I do want to show you guys with the flash and that starburst in the background. We'll just go to a random image that I didn't end up using. I just want to show you what I was doing in editing to really make the starburst feel filmic, painterly, something like that. So it's all in that S curve. If you see the before and after here, I'll switch. This is before edit, this is after, and I'll zoom in. Look at over here, this starburst. You see how it's like a lovely fade out from white to just like this ethereal glow. Without the edit, you see that hard edge of the flash. With the edit, you don't see it anymore. And this is because that fade on the S curve, when you pull those highlights down into a faded white, you catch more of the light and it kind of just glows better. This doesn't work in every scenario, but for this it was perfect, and it really made that starburst look fantastic. Also, just want to touch on the starburst effect that I did. If you'll notice, the effect is really poorly done. It's not perfectly straight, and you can see that in the image, this little highlight right here, and how this kind of like spreads out as it goes. All that was because the light wasn't reflecting off of a perfect grid line like the more expensive filters. So I still see a point to the laser cut filters, but I'm probably going to continue using some cheap homemade ones. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. That was just a little sneak peek into my process on a photo shoot that we were able to throw together, and I really enjoyed the results. And I hope you enjoyed the video, so please subscribe to see more like this and more even better videos in the future. Bye forever.